Okay, we've got to talk about the media because it's not just John Harwood with his sins. Do you guys listen to the Daily, the New York Times podcast? It's called The Daily and it's on daily.
But
I do it for you, Matt. I do it so you don't have to. Same thing with The View and Meghan Markle's dumb Netflix special. I'm a giver like that, you guys. So the Daily
I watched
today.
the Markle thing.
You did?
What?
Yeah, just as like a horror movie exercise. But anyway.
We're going to have to do a part 2 on that with Matt Taibbi. Maureen, bad news, you're out. Matt Taibbi's in. Okay. So today they had on, and I really like Jim Rutenberg, I have to say. He's a good guy, but he's a lefty, and everything he writes or says comes from that perspective. So that's just the way it is. He used to be the Times critic, like media critic, and he's profiled me a couple of times. That's how I got to know him. Anyway, I think he's a sweet guy, but this is his worldview, right? He comes on to talk to the host. I think it was Michael Barbaro today. And yeah, it was. And they were talking about the state of the media under Trump and how horrifying it is. They're horrified about how Trump seems to have like taken over media. I'm just going to give you a few samples of this. There's so much to choose from. I guess I'll start. What do you think, Steve? 10? You guys pick your fave because we have a bunch that we love. Watch.
The echoes to that moment, to that period in time, are so loud
Nixon.
In these early days of the new Trump administration. Strikingly so. He's going after the press in ways that are very similar to the ways Nixon did, but he's going farther than Nixon did already in just the first couple months. At the same time, he's completely able to make an end run around the press, around its journalistic narratives, to this huge new media sphere that will present the world only on the terms that Trump wants it presented on. And that is something that Nixon could have only dreamed of.
What would it be like?
That's ridiculous.
No, but
That's
what would it be
ridiculous.
like, Walter? Can you, like, if only, like, the Democrats have to look at Trump and think, gee, what would life be like if we had outlets that just said what we want them to, that were just, like, reliably in our corner and doing our bidding? The New York Times, Walter, is asking this question as though they haven't been doing this for the Democrats since, well, at least the past 50, 40 years.
The New York Times has a hotline to the State Department. It's probably got a hotline to the CIA. It's got a hotline to every position of power. It has taken dictation for decades and decades. But the premise here is so flawed. The idea that everybody is waiting for orders from Trump on independent media. The great thing about independent media now is that it's growing up from the grassroots, and Trump is coming down from the presidency, and they're meeting. And they're not meeting seamlessly. There's a lot of arguments. I mean, the conservatives, right-wingers, libertarians have as many ways to argue with each other and disagree with each other as the left does. But they also have something that the left doesn't have right now, which is authenticity. And they're trying to claim that this is a top-down phenomenon when it is absolutely the opposite.
Yeah. That's so true. Think about what happened just the other week. We showed the clip where it was like Black History Day, and Trump had the CEO of Pfizer, among others, at the White House. And Trump was like, hey, the CEO of Pfizer. And, you know, this is the ardent Trump faithful at the White House, or they were like, boo, boo. Trump, it is bottom up. They love Trump, but he doesn't control them. They have their own strong feelings on the right about him, his policies, who they're going to applaud, who they're going to boo. But before I get you to weigh in, Matt, I got to get in some of this other sound because it's all so delicious. There's more of the same point being made in a discussion about X. Listen here.
If you open up X, what used to be Twitter, under Elon Musk, and now in the era of Donald Trump, you experience something very different than what you did a couple of years ago. Whether it's Elon Musk himself coming on to praise President Trump or a bunch of conservative accounts I had never followed, suddenly are very prominent on my feed. But very much it now feels like a daily megaphone for Trump and the entire MAGA movement.
And that's a big deal for Trump because it's, as you note, these are Trumpian narratives that take over the platform and support whatever he's saying that day.
Right. Suddenly, one of the most important, widely used social media platforms in the country, if not the world, is being managed for the president.
But it's its own media sphere, and it's emerged in this entirely new way, and that's this world of male-dominated media.
Okay. Matt, X was completely controlled by leftists since its iteration, since it was first born till 2 years ago, right? Facebook, same. Zuckerberg's had a new sort of revelation that he's, I guess, more right-leaning than we knew. But Facebook has been completely left-leaning, at least in its core politics. Go down the list, all the social media, right? Like, where's the discussion on how Threads and Blue Sky are just Democratic echo chambers now? You know, like, not to mention outside of social media, actual media, which other than this one digital lane is entirely controlled by leftists.
So, Megyn, this is my favorite question that you've ever asked me. Jim Rutenberg, the irony of this is astounding. Jim Rutenberg, in August of 2016, wrote an extraordinarily influential article called Trump is Testing the Norms of Objectivity in Journalism. And the entire argument of the piece was that Trump was such an extreme threat that journalists had to change the way they did business. We no longer had to be just true. We had to be true to, quote, history's judgment, right? So it was a clarion call for the entire mainstream media to change its they did this, they did that, we don't really care, you sort it out attitude to let's become activists, let's tell you which is the right thing and who's the villain and who isn't, and let's become a narrative-driven, in-your-face, politicized media, which has lost all credibility with audiences. Now, when he says that Trump can go circumvent journalistic narratives and go directly to the people, he's absolutely right. But that is a market contest, a free market contest of believability where the mainstream media is losing because it's screwed up so many stories in pursuit of trying to preserve these politicized narratives. They've made so many horrific factual errors and gone over the deep end so many times that people trust the Joe Rogans and Megyn Kellys of the world far more than they do the Jim Rutenbergs of the world. Jim Rutenberg created this situation that he's lamenting. It's extraordinarily ironic.
Hashtag part of the problem. I'll give you one more. SOP 14. Again, back to Nixon.
So to go back to Nixon for just a moment, what he wanted, by your account, most was to somehow get around journalists like Walter Cronkite, who he was so frustrated with, and so frustrated that he couldn't get around. With Trump, that dynamic has been kind of inverted, right? Trump doesn't have to go around the mainstream media. This new Trumposphere in the media is already working with him and for him. And in that sense, Trump doesn't even need the mainstream media.
Walter,
that's called the internet. That's called the internet. Okay.
But do you tell me, has there been a modern president who's made himself more accessible to the mainstream media than this one? He has them in every day and lets them do a gaggle or holds a presser. He takes questions from all of them. He gets annoyed at one or the other, like the AP, and says, all right, you can no longer be in pool. He takes questions from all of them. When he ran, he went on Theo Vaughn. He did Joe Rogan. He did Sean Ryan. He's not talking to those guys now. They're not breaking news on Trump. He's talking only right now to these mainstream, and they're still mad that the others exist.
First of all, the reason that they can't adapt on the left is that they have an orthodox religion, which won't allow them to get over certain catechisms, Nixon, Jim Crow, etc. These have nothing to do with life in America 2025 right now. They're mourning a monopoly. They're mourning a period when there were 3 networks and basically 3 newspapers. Now, they can't get over the fact that they've lost power, that the internet goes from side to side, not top down, that it is indeed a net and that it's decentralized. The attempt in the last few years before Trump was elected and Elon took over Twitter was to make the internet and social media resemble that old monopoly. They wanted to sit on top of it and use these academic misinformation organizations and State Department sponsored disinformation organizations to curate it in a way that was really a losing battle in the modern age, because the internet now is like water. It can flow around you. And it's not just Trump who can get his message out. It's all kinds of what characters that they would consider fringe. We've entered a new age, and the New York Times can't believe it's not still 1974, and that invoking Nixon can't scare everybody from, speaking up. But if you either get with it, people in Jim Rutenberg, or you're going to be left behind, and you have been.
You don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat is already sinking, and you don't buy gold when the economy has already collapsed. Clearly, others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs already this year. It's not too late for you, and you could have Birch Gold help you diversify into physical gold. Birch Gold specializes in helping you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold for no money out of pocket. You can do the whole thing. You can just do a part of the thing if you want to hedge a little. One recent 5-star review said Birch Gold was, quote, knowledgeable, helpful, non-pressure. Get your free info kit on gold by texting the letters MK to the number 989898. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, text MK to 989898 and let the experts at Birch Gold help you secure your future today with gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.